what's up, chat? Happy World Women's Day? Is it seriously Happy World Women's Day? Let's see, what day is, it is World Men's Day. International Men's Day is celebrated annually on November 19th to promote positive male role models, highlight men's health, including mental health, and address issues like suicide and discrimination. Founded in 1999, it focuses on improving gender relations and celebrating men's positive contribution to society, family, and community. I'm pretty sure we do not celebrate International Men's Day. It's almost like we don't need holidays to celebrate 60% of the planet's population, huh? How about we don't recognize the accomplishments of, like, what, 5 billion people or whatever? Just throwing it out there. I was thinking about how if girls want to fuck the bad boy and pass on his nature to their offspring but nurture the child with the rich boy, then rich girls should logically only gun for bad boys because the extra wealth is redundant. Rich girls should logically go to their Japanese high school in a limousine and have very large blonde drill curls and then laugh it like, oh ho 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 ho, and then get ignored by the main character because they're, like, 8th in line in his harem. I think that's the correct route for rich girls. They should also have big fat tits, but have drill hairstyles that are so ridiculous that even with, like, a huge sexy rocking bod, they somehow become joke characters because their hair is just bouncing around everywhere, even more than their boobs. It's not close here. Right here. I don't know if they always have the bow. I guess the other girl has the rich bow, so you can get the bow on both types, actually, I've seen. And this is like Regetta von Strauss Heim 1/4. We'll make her Norwegian. And this is like Tensho in Kureha, 5th gen inheritor of shogunate. These are your two choices. Her tits are too small. I mean, there is the big titty version. I'm just presenting her as medium-sized boobs. But yeah, there is also the rocket boob version of this as well, of course, depending on the author. In general, if you have immense wealth, you either have huge rocking tits or extreme flatness or normal-sized boobs. I guess that's all the options. So I guess we can conclude that richness does not affect boob size in the anime world, unless you are drill hair. Drill hair is what actually affects the boob size. It's very rare to have drill hair characters that don't have like rocking bodies, actually. Let's give her a pointy nose. We really don't need to draw noses on any kind of like anime style characters. Sayonara Zetsubou Sensei really proved that thoroughly. That noses are not required. This is the anime style. I just draw a tiny dot to slightly focus the attention. This has a limo. Oh, this one walks. She walks with the main character on the way home from school. Specifically so she can cuck the space of childhood friend. The primordial Ojo-samas, it really comes down to the house. If you will have a Western style palace house and Western style decoration, or the Eastern style massive tatami house with like the huge central garden and stuff like that, and like the rooms with like 10 tatamis. I guess that's pretty small. Rooms with like 500 tatamis. All childhood friends who take too long to confess must be cucked. It ain't their fault that they're going to the summer festival and the fireworks are exploding right at the same time that they're confessing their love. That's just how it's built. The world is built to cuck them, so you can't be too harsh. Sorry, childhood friend, I need to be spoiled. Unfortunately, in the case of rich girl wanting to have a relationship with MC-kun, she's often like, I see your potential. You are the one who I must marry, and you must inherit the responsibilities of the Tenshoin Zaibatsu group. So, in the rare cases in which the rich girl actually wins the MC Harem Ball, there's a very high chance that you're stuck being a CEO of immense wealth instead of just getting pampered in luxury. Do you, with your domination loss kink, do you feel a trigger whenever you hear oh ho ho? Domination loss is for evil women. Ojo-sama exists to be either ignored or treated as comedy relief, or like a Team Rocket style, we're blasting off again, like failure, which I guess is still comedy relief. But not too much bullying. The most tragic thing that could ever happen to a character is if you have an Ohoho Ojo-sama, and then you bully her too hard and she stops being haughty and laughing. So you have to be very careful to maintain her self-esteem, or else she'll stop being haughty. See, that's the thing, right? The domination loss fetish only works if you want to, like, correct and defeat the evil woman or whatever, and want to, you know, wipe that attitude off of her face. But if you actually successfully domination lost in Ojo-sama, does anyone want to see this? Or she's just like, what if she stops saying oh ho ho altogether? Rant is going to be on Steam. It's over? Is it uncensored? Rant is going to be censored, but you can download a patch like a lot of eroge on Steam. Ever thought about that, guys? Oh my god! How will I play this video game? Oh! I'm a PC Master Race. I can play any game ever made. Oh, what? Oh, now the game's finally on Steam. Now I can finally play it. Oh, thank God. I can now give Gaben 30% of the profits now. How would I ever play a video game without making sure that Gaben's cock is properly sucked? Oh, yeah. There's definitely no way to play all of these eroge that have existed for the last 30 years and actually give them money by using a different platform. To be fair, Western console players don't even get a patch for eroge XD. I'm saying that every single one of you who can't play a video game until it's on Steam properly is exactly the same as console players. You're giving these platforms the exact same cut of the money, except it's even worse. At least with consoles, the console developer is footing a lot of the cost of the hardware, so it makes sense that they try and have to make their money back on the software purchases. Whereas PC players, you're literally footing the entire bill for your hardware and paying way more extra than console players, and then you still are like, oh, I can't play a video game until it's on Steam, guys. Oh, it's finally on Steam. Oh, thank God. Oh, I couldn't open another launcher. I couldn't just install the fucking files like people used to do. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, you fucking pathetic little bitches. I think you're fighting Ghost Man? No, I'm not. Everybody's like, oh, Steam's so great, Steam's so great, Steam's so great. Have you seen Gaben? Gaben is an old, fat man. Steam might be great right now, but you know what happens to literally every single second generation owner of immense wealth? They're not going to be like a steward for their parents' legacy forever. They never are. And shitifying will happen. Based on user agreements, you know that you don't actually own your games, right? We're in a very unique situation where the best version of any service is, whether it's like a country or whatever, is one being run by a benign dictator. In the case of Steam, it's like a benign monopoly where it controls everything, and the person who's running Steam has relatively good principles, so that we haven't suffered the consequences of having very little competition yet. But that shit isn't permanent. At one point, every Steam user who has like 10,000 games on Steam and hasn't been supporting any of the other launchers and hasn't like figured out, I mean, I guess you can always enter piracy at any point. I mean, that's the good part of having PC, but like everybody's like, oh my God, I can finally play games now that it's on Steam. It's like, bro, you guys are exactly the same as console players. You are giving the same cut that Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft and Epic Games and shit like that take. Well, you're like, no, Valve provides a community, Gaben's a good guy. Steam is about convenience, yes, yeah, but at least in the case of console players being like, oh, I have to wait for shit to be on PlayStation instead of Xbox, that's because they can't buy like another fucking $300 or $500 console just to play a slightly different game. But PC gamers already have the ability to play all these games before they were on Steam, but they didn't even consider playing them in a different format. I mean, how long has whatever version of Rants that has been on, that's going to be on Steam, how long has it been out? It's been out for the last like Like, the most popular version, Sengoku Dansu, came out in what? 2008 or something? If Steam wasn't convenient, we wouldn't be using it. We aren't locked into it. Yes, you are. If all of your games are on Steam, you are locked into Steam. If you let Steam exist as a monopoly, you are locked into Steam. Not with piracy? Sure, if you know how to pirate shit, things will be okay. I assume that the people who are waiting for Sengoku Dansu to show up on Steam to play it are the people who can't pirate in the first place. If you could pirate, why would you be waiting until Sengoku Dansu was on Steam? If you wanted to pay it and give it the original creator's money, you wouldn't have to wait till it was on Steam. You could just buy it in its original format. If you were going to pirate, you could have pirated it 10 years ago. It's literal console cuck behavior, and then PC gamers are in complete denial. I mean, how many times have I heard the argument of, oh, when will Epic Game Store add the cart feature or whatever? Like, yes, Epic Game Store sucks, and nobody wants to give, what is his name, Tim Sweeney, any money because he's a stupid bitch. But is it really that hard to just buy the game immediately instead of having a bunch of games in your online cart and then clicking purchase? Like, sure, it's a basic-ass feature, but it's also an extremely basic thing. Like, do you really need to buy 30 games at a time using the cart feature? Bro, if you were to buy it from the creator, that would still be a PC game XD. Do you not realize what I'm saying? I'm saying that all these people who claim that they're PC gamers did not buy it from the creator in the last 15 years and only treat it as a real usable video game when it's available on Steam. Thus, vacating the primary thing that they often list as why PC gaming is superior to console gaming. The freedom to do things on their own and just go on the internet and pirate or, you know, support independent creators, etc., etc. I'm saying that if you rely entirely on Steam for your games, you are the same as a console gamer and you're no better than someone who's just waiting for Sony or Microsoft to spoon feed you. I, personally, cannot fucking work any kind of software, and I can't do shit like, you know, replacing certain files in my directory because it doesn't run properly and stuff, so I do need to use the launchers. I do try and buy stuff from GOG, though. I'm just saying that it just pisses me off when people have no self-awareness about stuff. Physical media and ownership in general isn't a thing anymore, sadly. You know where it is a thing? For eroge. If you were an actual eroge Japanese consumer, you would be going to Akihabara and paying exorbitant prices for these gigantic cardboard boxes. Eroge consumers live in the ancient past in which you would buy CDs from Akihabara. They still do that shit. They're not like, oh my god, it's finally on Steam. I flew to Osaka, went up to Alisoft Championsoft headquarters and threw $15 American draws directly in their mailbox and stole a hard copy from their offices. What now? You would be a average eroge gamer. That's all. The last 10 years, you would often lose out to console exclusives on PC. Now there are no console exclusives, and there's no real PC exclusive as well, actually. That's another thing. When PC gamers are like, ha ha ha, look, we got another console exclusive. Have you ever noticed that you don't have any PC exclusives anymore either? They're all basically the same at this point. There will be no games soon, Pepe laughed. True. That's the most they're all the same equalizer of all time, is that there won't be any more games. At least no more AAA games at this point. I mean, there haven't been games for basically 10 years now. We've just been in the endless churn of massive corporations trying to make $1 billion by creating the next Fortnite. And we're in year of like 30 of that now. Picked up Uno and Rant's 3 box for like 1,100 yens. Man, I can't jack off to Alice Soft characters though, just the art style. I don't know why. Theoretically, I should be able to jack off to Alice Soft artwork, art CGs, but I can't, so it just ain't for me. I'm still excited for Crimson Desert K-Slop. Unfortunately, I don't have the PC to run it, and my PS5 I left at home, so I will not be able to run anything that's going to be coming out, sadly. Even if it is good, we're just going to have to wait. For their next Genshin Impact. I mean, how hard can it be to create microtransaction gacha slop? The answer is pretty difficult. Gacha slop is one of those things where the first mover advantage is actually pretty strong, because people have already wasted a shit ton of money on trying to get pulls. You can't be like jumping between 10 different gacha games and stuff and still have a functional wallet, so... The only slop aspect of gacha slop is the gacha part? You mean the main way in which they generate their revenue? Yes, I think that's a little important. That's like saying the only rape part of anal rape is the rape part. It's like, yeah, I'm getting fucked up the ass, but the only part about that I don't enjoy is the massive cock being jammed up my asshole, you know? Everything else is fine. Thanks Xenoblade 2 for big budget console scale gacha games. having RNG inside the game is not the same as having a proper gacha mechanic. Some people say that it's just a non-paid version of gacha inside the game that you're already paid for. But if you ask me, if you just get everything in one purchase of the game, then that's not a gacha. That already disqualifies you from the gacha conversation. Can't blame gacha games in a world where there's no non-gacha games to praise. I will never play gacha. Simple as that. If all the AAA games are going to be shit, and it's a choice between playing Western AAA microtransaction games as a service Game Pass slop, and Far Eastern microtransaction, or really not microtransaction, macrotransaction, RNG-based waifu bullshit gacha slop, I choose to not play video games at all. The video game industry I grew up loving is mostly dead at this point. And every once in a while, a good game will come along, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I really like video games. Too bad they don't make more of this shit. I like the artwork of Zenless Zone Zero, so I uninstalled it. And as soon as they were like, oh look, you got a free pull, try and pulling it. And I pulled, and I got a character I didn't really want to play as because it was a fucking loli. And then they were like, oh, too bad you didn't get what you want. But what if you gave us $15 to try again to see if you can get what you want? I was like, no, how about I uninstall your fucking game? How about that? Also, of course, Zenless Zone Zero, people say the gameplay might be somewhat good, but there's the giant fucking buttons on the corners of the screen for the phone users. So whatever version of good, it can only be good enough to be played with a fucking phone, so there's that as well. So yeah, I think I just won't play video games at all. How about that? I'm too retarded for gacha, not even free pulls give me dopamine. People without the strong sense of like gambling-based dopamine release are much more safe to live in the modern world than people who get their easy dopamine fix. Those people are fucked because gambling is everywhere nowadays. Luckily, I am not easily addicted to chance-based, probability-based rewards. For the true gacha player, the mere act of rolling for an opportunity to get what they might or might not want, that alone is the reward. For people like me who do not get a dopamine fix, the very existence of that mechanic as their primary way to make money is just absolute bullshit. So yeah, I won't be playing gacha, thank you very much. My dopamine only comes from genuine accomplishment. Yeah, I only get dopamine when I accomplish a great feat in my life, such as ejaculating. When I shoot my load into that piece of tissue, I know I've done another great thing once again. There was a time in my younger life that if I had money, I could buy all the games I want. Well, now I have money, but most games these days aren't worth paying full price or even worth getting. Also, full price is like $80. On the other hand, if you account for inflation, games are still way cheaper even at $80 than what they were in the 90s. but they've tried very hard to eliminate stuff like going to your friend's house and borrowing a copy of their favorite game, or buying stuff on the used market or whatever, because there's no more physical copies for a lot of people. So I think it all sort of balances out to video games just being more affordable. On the other hand, video games, like good video games nowadays, really like can be, you know, 100, 200 hour games. Back in my day, it was pretty rare that you would get a game that you would play for more than 100 hours. There just wasn't as much content. So I think people take that shit for granted. On the other hand, there's also very few games that I would want to even play for 1 hour nowadays, so... And that's not getting older at all. That's literally just video games getting worse. I know that for sure. Nintendo is offering $60 as a deal now. It's actually over. Well, you can't count Nintendo in any of your, like, doom scrolling calculations, though. They're a special version of bullshit, so... We can't be like, oh, Nintendo is trying to fuck our wallets again. It's like, yeah. You mean the thing they've been doing for 50 years now? That's just Nintendo being Nintendo, right? Do you like Mario 64? How about we give you a package of Mario 64 and what is it? What was the package? It had Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and like Mario Galaxy, but not Mario Galaxy 2 for like $60. And the Nintentards were like, oh my god! I have to buy this! And it's just like a worse version of emulators. If the entire Nintendo fan base stopped enabling Nintendo, they wouldn't be able to do this. Unfortunately, that will never happen, so... No point in talking in ifs and buts regarding that. Nintendo slop consumers don't buy their warm, fuzzy feeling that reminds them of their childhood by giving Nintendo $80 for a poorly emulated old game. Challenge, difficulty impossible. A constant service is insane. Well, you're not their customer. We don't really have any real Nintendo pay pigs on this this chat, so we don't really get to hear the voice of the Nintendo pay pig. But they're right up there with like the Apple consumer who buys a bunch of like PC wheels that cost Apple 5 cents to make for like $5,000 or whatever. I'm not even exaggerating some of the prices. What is it that Apple sold? Like they sold a unwoven cloth for wiping your screen for like, what was it, $30? Nintendo is in the same category as that. Nobody has achieved the level of Apple level of brainwashing, but Nintendo's still pretty close. They're trying their hardest to get there. Nintendo pay pigs, it's easier to understand why Nintendo has them by the balls, because they associate Nintendo with like a lot of their warm memories of childhood or whatever, and they have failed to grow up into adults. It's like a state of arrested development that's very easy to diagnose from the outside. People who pay shit tons of money for abusive Apple products in particular are extremely pathetic, because you know in that case the motivation is they just want to like look cool. It makes them feel superior that they have this sleek titanium PC instead of whatever loser PC. I'm a Mac and I'm a PC user. I can do all this shit. Of course, we're currently in the timeline in which Microsoft is actively enshitifying everything that they produce and trying to force Windows 11 on us, so if you're incapable of using Linux, then you might be forced to switch to Mac. I have been forced to think about that, because Clip Studio Paint, the drawing software I use, is not compatible with Linux. And I'm guessing that there's like some distros that will run it, but I don't know if I'm willing to try that out. I'm not good at getting shit to run on computers. I am not very technically adept human being, so thinking I can like run Mint or Ubuntu or whatever, assuming that I can do that successfully, might be a grave mistake. So I might have to actually switch to Mac. I don't even fucking know. Luckily, my computer is still functional, and I'm just going to keep on using Windows 10 for as long as possible. Mint with Wine probably runs it. Yeah. I'm just worried that I will get myself in a situation where I can't do shit with my own PC. Even if you are good with tech, troubleshooting that shit is a headache, and I am not good with tech. Make no mistake, I am very bad with tech. I've had to troubleshoot my Windows 10 PC once or twice, and I've actually been able to do it, but I think I was just lucky to just walk into the solution. I've talked about this before, but one of my laptops on Windows 10 would periodically crash just at random timings. And you know how in Windows 10 when you crash, like you get the blue crash screen and you have like approximately 3 seconds to read the message before it restarts? So I was able to read the stop code and like the text of the stop code of why it crashed. And I was like, huh, what is causing this? And just based on that, I was able to somehow figure out that what was causing it to crash was because I had been, my computer had been connecting to the Wi-Fi that's for cell phones. You know how like Wi-Fi, there's like this, when you install Wi-Fi, they're like, this is the one for your cell phone and this is the one for your computer, and it actually makes a difference. I didn't know this for the longest time, but the cell phone Wi-Fi was causing my laptop to crash, and then having my cell phone connected to the laptop Wi-Fi instead of the cell phone Wi-Fi in the current apartment that I have in Japan causes it to stop downloads and not download at the proper speed and shit. So that stuff actually matters quite a bit. If you have 2 Wi-Fi settings, one is probably for your cell phone, and it actually does make a difference. Do not forget that. That's what I learned. Your Windows PC crashed a blue screen? It used to. I don't know if it would do it now. I can't even remember if it was my current PC or the PC before that, but on Windows 10, it would just crash like, I don't know, every 4 or 5 days and blue screen, and I was like, what is causing this? And once I changed my Wi-Fi to make sure it was on the laptop Wi-Fi instead of the phone Wi-Fi, it stopped. So I was like, holy shit, that actually worked. I was able to troubleshoot my own PC. Shocking. I guess I'm not as inept at technical shit as I thought I was, but yeah. Thinking that I'd have to do that a million times if I was on Mint or Wine or whatever Doesn't sound like a fun day. That's why I wanted a console. I've always enjoyed consoles. I liked when the only troubleshooting you could do was pulling out the cartridge and blowing on it. It was a more civilized time. We'd just be blowing on our cartridges like we were sucking cock or something. Let me blow on your dick, Nintendo. Linux issues are highly specific, unlike Windows. Couldn't recommend it to anyone in good faith. I have problems even with Windows, so at least if I'm using Windows 11, if I have one issue, there'll be like a million other people all over the planet having the same issue. I can only hope that I can just ride out our current AI craze until Microsoft comes to the realization that they can't just fire literally all of their programmers and have them use like ChatGPT to program shit. And they're like, oh, this is causing massive problems. Considering we're already in that stage, hopefully it won't take another like 4 or 5 years for them to realize this. But they are a gigantic corporate monopoly, so who knows, they might be actually that stupid. As much as I love my Xbox, PS2 consoles I don't want to go back to a closed system with current consoles these days. Yeah, but remember when we actually got video games? I think that actually had something to do with the closed system. Also, the games were much more diverse and different from the current games we had. They would be built to like run on a specific console and shit. Most of the best games were built toward a specific hardware and utilized that hardware. Even for PC, right? That's part of the death of the RTS, although there's other reasons for that. Most of the video game audience doesn't want to be clicking on 10 different keys on their keyboard while wildly waving their mouse hand back and forth, trying to manage unit economy. He's kind of right that all the best games were PC only. The best games on PC were PC only. The best games on console were console only. They were built around that specific environment. It allowed for better graphics. The developers knew the specific hardware they were using better. Everything went down when they started thinking how to make and work with gamepad. LMAO, go back and play like Red Alert or something, stupid bitch. Gaming on keyboard and mouse fucking sucks. Whenever I have my hands on my fingers on like the WASD keys and shit, it's fine as long as I have my fingers on them. And then as soon as like I try and move my fingers and like type the F or the G or the Y to reload or throw a grenade or shit like that, I always have difficulty getting my fingers back on top of the same key position. I don't have any difficulty typing blind though, so I don't know why it's so hard for me to play video games with keyboard. I can kind of do it, but I don't enjoy it. I've been playing Fear on mouse and keyboard, and Red Faction on mouse and keyboard. You play any instrument? I suck at music and my motor skills are shit as well. Turns out that motor skills are not as important for drawing as some people might think. Controllers are just ergonomically superior to keyboards. Ergonomically, yeah. I feel like we haven't really maxed out controller potential yet, though. People have just sort of been resting on their laurels with the DualShock formula. Two analog sticks, 2 buttons, 2 shoulder buttons, 2 triggers, 4 face buttons, and so on. And then if you want to have bumper panels, you need to pay extra for your hardcore gamer scud controller shit. But if you ask me, the bumper panels on the back should be just like standard, and then we can cram like a few more buttons and functionalities into the controller, so that it has basically the same amount of like button options as a keyboard, but without forcing you to like move your hand off of it. Aiming with the mouse is unmatched, but if you would somehow mix the two, who knows? Here's the thing that PC gamers miss out on, that they don't even probably think about. When you don't have the analog stick for walking, you don't get to roleplay walk in your third-person action games or RPGs. You just have to be constantly running everywhere. And obviously, like, you can press like C or V or whatever, a separate button to walk slowly, but nobody's actually gonna activate that. Whereas if you're playing on controller, you get to roleplay walk way better. People are like, nobody actually does that, but I do that. You can press, it's always like a separate keyboard button to press to walk slowly, but nobody ever uses it. I especially like roleplay walking in like semi-open world RPGs like Witcher, to really get the feeling of the atmosphere. Atmosphere is probably the most important aspect to me when I play video games. If I have like good art direction and music that gives me good atmosphere, I can tolerate like any amount of bad gameplay choices and shit. I'm sure you can add that feature on keyboard and mouse. I mean, most games that are available on both console and PC, when you're using keyboard and mouse, there will be like a separate key that will be like how to walk, you know? But sometimes the games like just straight up have like 3 or 4 different walk speeds and like different animations for each of them. And that's when it really gets into like you should be playing on controller or else you won't get to see the different animations. And this is more the case in like, you know, masterpiece games like, I don't know, probably Rockstar games and Kojima games and stuff, where they put in a lot of extra work to make your character to move in specific ways. So ultimately it just comes down to what platform the game was made for. What was their primary audience? Nowadays, so many games are built with the idea that they're going to release on PC as well. They probably basically just trim a bunch of the features that would have been like console-centered stuff, like different walk cycles. So it's probably irrelevant at this point. There are keyboards with pressure-sensitive keys that allow you to ease in and out of inputs. Yeah, but most keyboards are going to be digital, though. Like, come on. That's the whole problem with PC, is that you can't build your game around the assumption that some people have some hardware that will make something possible. Every time I see the standard thread for any kind of PC release for any game where people are like, it's not running! Fuck you, Capcom! Fuck you! Oh my god! Why is it not running on my machine? And there's always like one guy who's like, I don't know, it runs on my machine. You're probably just poor. Why are you Why do you have a RTX GTX dick suck 5390 when you should be running a modern CPU? There's always that one guy. And I'm just like, see, this is the problem with PC gaming. You have to have that conversation and like, what settings do I need to go to? Every single fucking time. In Tarkov, you can adjust your walk speed with scrolling wheel on the mouse. That's probably like an extremely important part of Tarkov, right? I haven't played Tarkov, but I assume that you make a lot more noise when you're running around. And like people immediately notice your location. So you sure as fuck better be walking slowly. Speaking of Tarkov, has anyone actually played Marathon? I was actually a little bit optimistic of Marathon because looking at the concept art, it looks slightly different. We'll leave the whole argument of they stole someone's concept art from like Tumblr or whatever argument out of the conversation. But when I actually saw some people playing it, it looked insanely generic. It looked like they had taken a pre-existing map from Apex Legends, and then instead of making it look good, they had just colored a lot of the buildings to be like neon green and shit. Like it was some sort of Nickelodeon playhouse, and I was just like, well, that doesn't look dystopian or futuristic or anything, it just looks stupid. Some of the concept art stage kind of looked new age dystopian something, cyber something, but in-game it doesn't really look good at all, it just looks dumb. It looks like laser tag, it looks like a Nickelodeon TV program. I don't know. It just looks bad. Apex Legends was a recolor of Titanfall map, wasn't it? So that's on brand? Yeah, I guess it is. I forgot that they were supposedly... No, wait. You're thinking of High Guard for it to be on brand. Bungie is not Apex Legends. Respawn is different from Bungie. For a second, like, we're getting all the Concord-like slop marathons mixed up, so it's fucking up my brain. For a second, I thought that they were responsible for Apex. It's like, no, wait. You're thinking of High Guard. We're talking about Marathon, not High Guard. Don't get your slop mixed up. High Guard has black guy with the zoomer poofy hair. Well, he's not even black guy. He's like the standard like American biracial mess shit. Whereas Marathon has everybody looking like hyper dystopian 3D printer made robots, and it actually has a relatively attractive robot-esque female body as the poster child. But all the colors and font are weird. But if you actually watch it in game, it's nothing really impressive looking. It looks kind of stupid. A lot of the square-ass guns in Marathon remind me of Starfield. Not a good point of reference. Marathon guns kind of look if they had if a Starfield gun and a Nerf gun had a baby, which it kind of, that sounds like an insult, and it is. Or maybe a Super Soaker had a baby. It's the same color. It's the exact same color of like the guns that they're supposed to be colored orange so that the cop doesn't shoot the 5-year-old. Not that that stops cops from shooting 5-year-olds. Average American cop sees like a 5-year-old playing in the park and he's like, "Get down! That kid has a shovel!" Bang, 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 so... The kid was coming right for me. I had to defend myself. You have no idea the kind of pressure our law enforcement officers are under when they're out there in the field every day. You have to be a cop to understand. It feels like nobody has a good vision for sci-fi nowadays, or at least nobody big. I mean, like, I don't need shit to be completely original. I don't need a new vision for stuff, right? If you want to do Star Wars karaoke and stuff, I'm fine with that. Go ahead. I mean, Star Wars is doing Star Wars karaoke. I'd rather have a semi-derivative view of sci-fi or fantasy, of shit that exists, than something that is trying to reinvent the wheel and then looks ugly as a result. The problem is that, like, these corporations, they're not even, like, trying to do that. Like, all you need to do is inject just a little bit of yourself and your own personality into the whole project. Just a little bit of personal originality, that's all. But because these are gigantic fucking corporations with like 100 different employees just working on the concept art alone, there isn't any room for them to have any kind of originality, so that's just not going to happen. Arc Raiders is okay art-wise. Arc Raiders does kind of look different. Arc Raiders has that kind of retro future 70s feel in a lot of its art design, that you can tell that was what the people who were making Concord thought they were making, and they ended up failing horribly. I'm sure Arc Raiders is what Concord thought they were making, and they ended up not being able to do it. We're not far enough from woke art direction yet. True. They have to fire. Basically, everybody has to get fired before we can move on. We'll see what the art direction of the Naughty Dog Bald Girl game looks like. Because it was clearly made when people were like, you know what people like? Guardians of the Galaxy. And then the game is in development for 10 years. Basically exactly the same situation as Concord, actually. Were Guardians that big, though? It was big among the circles of people who, who are employed in the art design industry. I realize now that I can't use the paint bucket tool if I'm going to be using this brush to draw, because it just leaves a shit ton of white dots. Yeah, I'm going to have to color shit in by hand, or have my assistant color shit in by hand if I want to do that, I think. We're never getting rid of this woke shit. These retards kill Dragon Age. What do you think they will stop? No, we will, because it's too early to say whether we will be rid of woke shit or not, because these corporations are so big, it takes them years and years just to right the ship. So if we are going to get rid of woke shit, it's just going to take forever. So it's too early to say one way or the other, unfortunately. Like, these games were in development. Dragon Age Veilguard, or Dreadwolf, as it was originally called, was literally in development for what was it, like 8 years? So yeah, we can't really judge whether the DEI slop is going to end or not in our current stage. Like, the shit that's coming out right now was in the pipeline 4 years ago. Love your optimism that woke shit will go away. Corporations like making money, and they are trend tracers. They don't have any kind of morality. Remember, the core principle of woke shit is corporations suddenly having like an idea that they can both make money and be both like morally upstanding. But at the end of the day, we know that corporations are not morally upstanding to any degree. And as soon as they think it's not going to make money, they're going to stop doing it. It's just that when we say as soon, these corporations are so fucking massive, it takes them like an actual decade to realize that whatever slop they were funding isn't making money. Why do you think we're still getting like microtransaction filled Game Pass hero shooters like 10 years after Overwatch came out? I mean, High Guard was literally called High Guard, the same title as Overwatch, guys. A game that, when did Overwatch come out? Like 2006? I can't even fucking remember. They take so long to figure out that that trend is over. The project got hijacked by people who didn't care. Drives me insane. I assume a lot of these people that don't care about video games will just get fired from the companies. You said 2006, which is hilarious. It feels like 2006 instead of 2016. It may as well be 1986 for all I know. Now we're back here. Please play our game. We added women with massive ass. Yes. Although ass has always been like the easy part, where somehow they don't seem to feel bad about that. I'm not sure why. It's always the tits. We'll know that we're finally back when there is like huge, big, bouncing boobs with boob physics in the video game. That is the final test. Name a female video game character that has had boobs larger than a C cup in the last, 10 years or so. They ain't gonna be a Western video game character, for sure. You could literally customize your cock in Dragon Age Origins, but they wouldn't let you choose to have a female character with double Ds. That's really all you need to know. Boobs are always going to be the final frontier because they only appeal to men. And that's really what it comes down to. It's not about like sexuality or something like that. It's just, it comes down to the people who are designing these games don't want to give men what they want. They don't want to create video games for their consumer base. And they feel that it's insulting, just like giving men something that they enjoy, so... They had a cock slider in Dragon Age Origin. I believe the cock slider was in, what was it? Wasn't it in Cyberpunk? In Dragon Age Origin, I believe they had, like, you could choose circumcised dick and uncircumcised dick. I don't know if they had a slider, but you definitely could not have big boobs on your character. I can say that for sure. I would have noticed if anybody. Everybody would have giant, massive titty character like they do in all the Team Ninja Neo games and stuff like that, where everybody has their massive titty hime cut female samurai fighting demons, and I do too. Dragon Age, you definitely cannot have anything larger than a C cup or a B cup. It's also crazy how Gamergate was a thing when people said devs shouldn't whore themselves for positive reviews. So I actually think that Gamergate is really interesting because it was actually the canary in the coal mine that we didn't notice at that time. That was during the Obama administration and pre-Trump derangement situation, but we were already seeing the sort of ideological lines being drawn among the left-leaning politics, in which liberal and left-leaning politics in general was just moving toward Puritanism. We were getting the sort of general movement among leftists to become what they were against in rightists back in the 90s, where the right was the puritanical faction and like everything was, Jesus is crying because you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. You're part of a Satanist cult. That used to be the domain of the people on the Christian right. But you started to get the movement of the left to become that, I guess, maybe during the Bush years, but the Gamergate was probably the first, case in point situation where you had an entire fan base, not even a fan base, a giant customer base of a hugely profitable industry getting told for many years by the press that is supposed to cover that industry that they were toxic and they needed to change. And then you basically had this extreme, incongruence between the people who are covering the industry and the customers of that industry. And you have this kind of one of a time, it's not one of a time anymore, but at the time extremely rare situation in which basically the editors of a specialist hobby magazine were telling the customers who buy those hobby magazines and read those internet stuff that they were worthless and they didn't need to exist for this hobby to continue. And if you think of it in any other hobby, imagine if you opened up Hot Rod magazine one day and they were like, classic car enthusiasts don't need to be the customers of classic cars. The classic car hobby is larger and better than classic car enthusiasts. What do classic car enthusiasts really offer to the hobby of classic car building in the first place? Male toxicity. All they do is look at cars and are like, ooh, that's a fun, sexy car. They should be ashamed. We don't need to appeal to them anymore. Or like the fishing version. Fisherman is not the core customer demographic of Bass Pro magazine. But it showed like the first canary in the coal mine situation of like we have this highly educated, very left-leaning, liberal demographic who just is really, really sick of whatever white male hobbies or whatever they identify as white male hobbies, and just has this fundamental disdain for it. And eventually that spilled over into everything and became DEI when larger corporations sort of latched onto it and felt like they too could be part of the whole thing. But I do think Gamergate was kind of the first time. And then we had like Anita Sarkeesian at the same time. I guess Anita Sarkeesian was before that. Anita Sarkeesian was the first version of like, oh, look at this hobby that white men are enjoying. What if I spent a lot of time calling these people sexist? And then everybody rage clicked on my videos. And I made a lot of money off of it. That was actually stage one. Anita was during that. Anita was slightly before Gamergate. People were getting peeved. She was in the stages that we had going on for a while, in which both her and like gaming magazines were like, we need to rethink the gaming hobby. Why are we rescuing Princess Zelda? Why doesn't Princess Zelda get her own adventure? And so on and so on and so on. Like, there was a solid 3 or 4 years in which we started getting that shit. I think all the way to like 2003 or 4, we were still in the age of like the sexiest video game babes in your gamer magazine. And then like around 2004 to 2005 maybe, we started getting like, maybe men should be more accepting of video games are an art now. We shouldn't just have Zelda wait for Link to save her, blah blah blah, that type of shit. People were like, oh, I'm writing something original and new. And then by the time Gamergate happened, people were getting super sick of that shit, which is really the driving force of Gamergate. Like, people knew that these gamer magazines were like inherently just ads and corrupt, but people wanted to get excited for product and consume product. It's crazy that a magazine that was funded entirely by people consuming the product was like, you should feel ashamed for consuming this product. And then of course everyone was like, no, fuck you. 10 hottest Sonic babes. I have to finish that Rouge pick, by the way. You are getting a bit mixed about timeline there? I don't think I am. Anita Sarkeesian. Man, she is not aging well. Born in 1983. Sarkeesian launched a non-profit organization website, Feminist Frequency, in 2009. And then Gamergate. Gamergate is 2014. So yeah, I was thinking the first Obama administration, but it was second Obama administration. That was early as hell. Yeah, I was pushing the timeline up a little bit. So Gamergate was 2014, second Obama administration. The liberals were kind of feeling themselves after two Obamas, and then they would start to really go far left during the Trump administration. To this day, Wikipedia still says Gamergate or Gamergate GG was a loosely organized misogynistic online harassment campaign motivated by a right-wing backlash against feminism, diversity, and progressive in video game culture. It was conducted during using the hashtag Gamergate primarily in 2014 and 2015. Gamergate targeted women in the video game industry, most notably feminist media critic Anita Sarkeesian and video game developers Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu. Shockingly, people who waste their time editing Wikipedia articles are the kind of chuds who will be like, it was all about male misogynist harassment. I'd say it was about 40% misogyny, 50% just people getting tired of this shit. Gamergate was literally about single female dev whoring for fake reviews. That was what started it. More specifically, if they had just let Zoe Quinn, people just get angry at it instead of Reddit closing down all posts and like the Reddit mods making sure that people couldn't attack her and stuff like that, then that was what caused it to spiral out of control, step one. But what truly caused it to spiral out of control was when all the video game magazines colluded together and released the same articles at the same time, basically calling their entire fan base to be incel, racist, misogynist chuds, and how the video game industry shouldn't cater to them anymore. That was when it really started to become like, oh, you want to fuck with us? Fuck you. Because people had been dealing with video game magazines doing the feminist frequency kind of shit in their pages for the last like 8 years or so at that point. So people were getting really sick of it. It was basically open warfare between the media of a hobby and the customers of the hobby, which is insane. I've already said that was insane, but it really truly was insane. Let men enjoy their hobbies? No. It turns out that the meme, the internet meme of women getting angry because men are enjoying their hobbies is actually very real and true. If men just want to sit in room and play video games, that alone is enough to make a female upset. Who would have thought? Saying both sides double down when it's your standard fringe tards spamming their own DMs. Well, both sides is just stupid for the internet because you have like an organized, corporate-owned, like weird left-wing publishing class that has all these relationships with other publishing magazines and can spew media articles about stuff on one side. So they are an actual side, whereas the rest is just the broad internet in general. So there's any number of dumbasses who write any things. But it's the same thing whenever someone is in hot water and then people say mean things about them on the internet, and then that person will be like, I've literally received death threats online, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. It's like, yeah, no shit. There's a million people typing shit on the internet. Someone typed KYS toward you online. Everyone being like, why can you be so mean to me? I'm getting fucking death threats. I'm worried about the safety of my family, boo-hoo-hoo. It's like, yeah, Someone said a mean thing to you online. That's not a fucking death threat. And you know it's not. Stop trying to gain sympathy. Death threats part was great because people on Tumblr would make all the accounts to send death threats to themselves. It was a time in which people were treating the internet like it was a telephone service or something. The one Jew in America who's drawing swastikas on his own home. People have too much time on their hands. They need to learn how to draw. Then they won't have so much time to be wasting. Drawing takes so much goddamn time. Not this words hurt my feelings gay shit. You know that there's this image of like a black kid and there's the N-word traveling across the screen and it's like shattering his head. I see that posted on 4chan all the time when they talk about like words can kill. Oh, Kojima. And I don't know if that's a fake image or not. I wonder if I can find that. Black kid ad with the N-word looking like a bullet going through his head. There is no evidence. Okay, I think it's a image that 4chan created it. This is where I can never tell to what degree the stuff I see online is just something that's created by 4chan users or it's an ad that actually existed. Now I have to draw someone who's pog champing. It's funny, the whole words hurt your feelings shit is funny in the Japanese internet because they don't have quote-unquote swear words. So they have to, like, censor more basic terms like, just like death. So it's, you can't even, like, if you read the comment section in, like, a shonen manga online forum or whatever, or not even forum, the comments attached to the bottom of like the online shonen jump manga, for example, like they can't write words like death or kill even if they want to discuss the conversation about like the deaths and killing that's happening inside the shonen manga, because the bot bans you because they assume that you're yelling it toward other users, telling them to kill themselves, etc. So you could say that in some ways, America having like the ultimate sin of the N-word, where you're just not allowed to say it unless you're Kanye and you're talking about gold diggers, it kind of saves us from a lot of other online censorship because we have like words that we've just decided that are like the ultimate sin. So we're allowed to type other offensive shit. I think it's an interesting compromise that we don't even know we're making. Twitter is site for posting your YouTube comment as core content. Twitter is site for having a bot profile in which you talk about Web3 and how whatever stablecoin you're shilling is going to go up for sure. I don't know if you guys browse Twitter comments at this point, but I used to enjoy browsing Twitter comments, and now they're literally just all bots. Like, almost any kind of popular post is just endless bots. I don't know what kind of script they're using, but AI, the number one use of AI is for people to post comments in Japanese on a popular Japanese post and flood the comment section, so they can get impression zombie views. That's what they're called by the Japanese, impression zombies, for something that they don't actually read or understand because they haven't even checked it because it's a fucking bot. It's basically unusable at this point. I don't know what the fuck Elon is doing. Maybe he's like, Grok, is this a problem? And Grok's like, no. But it is literally the dead internet theory in practice in front of our eyes. Monetizing views on social media was such a massive mistake. Yeah. Like, of course it's just going to be a bunch of bots. Especially views for your reply instead of the original tweet. So then everybody attaches themselves into the comment section to the replies. In tangents that have nothing to do with the original. It's actually worse than that, because it's not even tangents. It's automated AI generated replies. The AI now can read the comment of other people's comments information and then sort of synthesize them. It's especially easy to understand for Japanese comments because the person with the replies will have an English name and they clearly don't know Japanese. Let's see. I'll show you what I'm talking about. As soon as I actually want to show an ingredient, it's hard to find one of these popular-ass Japanese posts where it's so obvious. Alright, whatever. I need to stop browsing Twitter while I'm trying to draw. This guy isn't fat enough. My comments just get put under probable spam because I'm unverified or use a VPN. Uh-huh. Twitter is a dying platform. A lot of things are dying platforms, but Twitter especially. It's crazy how people can just continuously fail upwards. Elon being the most obvious one. Tesla worth like $1 trillion just based on the stock market's expectation that it will be worth more and more in the future alone. People are so bad at predicting the future. It's crazy that we have an entire economic system based on future prognostication of the value of shit. But I guess that's what capitalism has become. Twitter is still one of the best ways to follow artists and objectively pretty dog shit for that too. Until the artists can all decide they're all going to move to one platform, it will have to be Twitter. It can't just be like piecemeal shit. Someone's like, I'm moving to Mastodon, I'm moving to, you know, Blue Sky, and so on and so on. Everybody has to move. This is the big problem with the whole social network thing, is that once they have a user base, they can basically, the corporation can basically just abuse the users because everybody just has to stay in the same location that everybody is, and people can't choose to organize and move at the same time. You have to do shit that's truly drastic, like Tumblr banning all porn to get everybody have an exodus. We'll see if that will happen with Discord, but I doubt it. I guess all the pedophiles will have to move. My Roblox Discord, no. There's Artbase, and it became an insular platform in which you had to beg to get included and failed to keep momentum. There needs to be some way in which for new artists to get discovered by getting retweeted by other artists, for example. There has to be some sort of upward movement by posting on that platform. And it also has to allow porn. That's another thing. If you don't get all the big Japanese doujin artists that are announcing what they're doing in Comiket or whatever, it's probably not going to work out, so... Ban all kids. The problem is that in order to ban all kids, they're going to be like, we need your ID to know that you're an adult, and then they have all your ID data so that they can sell to, you know, Russia or whatever. There's no way to ban kids without differentiating from people who aren't kids, and in order to have the excuse of differentiating, from people who aren't kids. They're going to try and take all your data, which is what they're doing right now. How do you get the kids out without becoming an invasive data collection company? See, none of this would be a problem if we could trust corporations not to use our data for evil. However, not even the most optimistic person on this planet is like, surely this corporation will not take all the personal data, my social security number that I have given it, and use it and sell it to other corporations for marketing. Surely that will not happen. I can trust them. Governments, corporations. Once it's on the internet, they were gonna buy it and sell it and pass it around. It's weird how people pretend it isn't parents' responsibility in the first place. Parents being like, it's impossible to control my child. How can I stop my child from looking at unlimited amount of porn on the internet? It's like, maybe you shouldn't give your child a cell phone. No, I can't stop it. They need to have a cell phone. All their friends have cell phones. How will I be able to ignore them and plop them in front of their iPad and have them talk with Roblox pedophiles all day while I, do coke in the other room? If they don't have all these digital instruments to babysit for me. The UK is planning to ban school uniform roleplay, pigtails, LMAO, and incest simulators, step-sibling, etc. Bro, there's no point in worrying about the UK at this point. They're too far gone. Like, who the fuck cares? I saw that Starmer was like sending one of the UK's aircraft carriers to the Gulf, and Trump was like, good job sending military help after the war was already won. And I was like, you know what? I spent a lot of time shitting on Trump, but he's right twice a day at least. This is his broken clock moment. The UK Starmer being all like, I don't want to participate in the Iran war. Maybe I'll send an aircraft carrier a week later while I complain is a pussy-ass bitch move. So, yeah. Trump's right about a few things. The current British government being a bunch of cucked bitches who are also trying to ban all pornography is, yeah, it's up there. We're doing a good job of being controlled with all the digital ID stuff now. Sort of, but also the government already has a shit ton of data on you already. We'll see how bad it gets, I guess. The good thing about living in Japan is not only is the Japanese government not as cartoonishly evil as some of the Western governments, and the corporations also aren't cartoonishly evil as some of the Western corporations. They're also extremely technically inept. They just recently created like a number-based social security type system like 5 years ago, after like America had it for like the last 60 years. I had to recently get my number card, which is what they call. It took them like, half a century to create this shit. God bless Japanese government for still using like fax machines and shit. You have a woman prime minister who is based in telling China to fuck off finally. Do you have your Hanko stamp? Yeah, I do, but I don't have the red ink shit. I had a Hanko stamp that was given to me by my mother many years ago, and I've had it in the same bag where I keep my passports for the longest time. The problem is that it was in like this combination container that had like, I forgot what you call it in English, but the shuniku, the red ink thing, like an inkwell attached in like a sponge. But because I've had it for so many years, all the ink in the sponge thing has completely dried up at this point. So I need to buy more of that ink stuff. I forgot to do that though when I went to a stationery store the other day. Nobody reminded me. She's pro-Japan. I mean, I don't even know what counts as pro-Japan. She's not like capitulate to China at every possible point. I mean, you'd think it would be like insanely obvious that Japan needs to strengthen its military power and stuff when it's right next to China and North Korea, and America is looking less and less reliable, but the Japanese left is still stuck in like post-World War II mentality where if the Japan has any kind of military, they're going to use it to immediately invade other countries and stuff. So it's extremely hard to pass anything through Japan, but finally, 80 plus years after the end of World War II, people are adjusting their beliefs. The Japanese left is very strange. Like, they're legit communist and stuff. Despite all the failures of communism around them. At this point, they should have just sidestep using the JSDF with just hiring mercenaries. Why? What will mercenaries do? People are underestimating how much firepower the JSDF has. The JSDF has a shit ton of like highly advanced submarines and stuff that China would have a lot of difficulty detecting if they actually got into a hot war with Taiwan and stuff. Make no mistake, the JSDF is a pretty advanced, rich-ass first world country military force. They just have to pretend like they're not. Mercs will betray you for top dollar. I mean, we have mercenaries in the real world nowadays. They don't have like a great track record. Our most recent mercenary occurrences in the real world are all the mercenaries that are working in Russia and either getting off by Putin because he's worried that the Wagner group is gonna betray him, or they're getting sent to just like straight up die in the front lines immediately. That's the current role of mercenaries, is just get promised to get a good payday from Putin and then get immediately blown up by Ukrainian death drones. During the Iraq War, we had a shit ton of mercenaries in the form of like Blackwater and shit like that, all these private military companies, and they caused like all sorts of stupid civilian deaths. I mean, there's a reason why these people are mercenaries. It's because they couldn't make a job in the official military, so they have a job as a mercenary instead. You're not getting the best people. I wish the word mercenary didn't sound so cool. Our image of mercenary based on our anime is like private military man, the best of the best. He's not attached to one country or one nation. He's a lone wolf. They call him Fenrir. In reality, they're like Bubba from Arkansas who tried to join the U.S. Army, but he failed his basic training physical 5 times. So instead, he is in Iraq running security. And he really, really wants to have the opportunity to shoot somebody. They used to be military but want to avoid accountability, yeah. Although, you can avoid accountability if you're in the military as well. Remember, was it the first Trump administration? I think it was the first Trump administration. There was like one Special Forces team captain that basically everybody who worked with him tried to get him like court-martialed. And these are like, you know, SEAL team or whatever. I forgot which branch of the Army it was, or whether it was Navy or whatever. I think it was like Navy. But like, these are like Special Forces people who are supposed to be like super tight because they have to trust each other during battle. And basically everybody who worked under him was like, this guy is a fucking psycho. And he's probably committed like 10 war crimes and he needs to be put in jail. And even like the military brass was like, yeah, we need to put this guy in jail. But then Republican politicians in America were basically like, no, 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 he's a patriot, guys. And he didn't actually go to jail or anything. I don't think he was court-martialed. Or maybe, I think he was court-martialed, and then they sort of got him out of it. The Republicans got him out of it. Typical American. Like, you can be just someone sniping children in the Middle East for like 5 years. And as long as you go home and tell your average Republican congressman, it's like, no, I was a patriot. I was fighting for the country. They're like, God bless you, son. How twisted do you have to be for hardened spec ops to hate your guts over ethics? I think he was just like straight up killing civilians for sport or something. I can't remember specifics. I'll never understand how killing your boss doesn't happen more often in the army. People are just working to get whatever their VA benefits. They know it's not a permanent situation. Apparently it's happening a shit ton in Russia right now, though. Because, unsurprisingly, the Russian commanders are, like, exploiting their own soldiers and like taking their soldiers' money and stuff, and then also like if the soldiers don't give them your money, then you get sent to the front and immediately get blown up by Ukrainian drones. And when the situation gets really bad, there's like been mass mutinies happening, and like some commanders have been beaten to death by their own troops and stuff, apparently. But the whole Ukrainian front is such a shit show that we don't really pay attention to it. That has happened since the Soviet days. Russians, don't be corrupt and don't get killed in mutiny by your own soldiers. Challenge. Difficulty impossible. They asked for bribes to avoid going on in the first waves. I'd just like to point out that the New York Times section right now is... The entire New York Times is kind of hilarious because it's twisting themselves into a fucking pretzel trying to criticize Trump for his Iranian war, which, you know, there's a lot of shit to criticize, but, and we don't know what's going to happen, but they're just truly just like stretching in some cases. Let me see if I can find the op-ed I was reading this morning. I just thought it was fucking hilarious. Damn, I can't find it. Anyways, there was an entire op-ed that was saying that Trump starting his war in Iran, it was very similar to Putin starting his war in Ukraine in all these ways. And it was listing like all the ways in which the Ukrainian war and like Putin's assumptions and all of his stiff stuff was exactly the same as America. And I was like, are you actually going to write an entire like 1,000 word article ignoring the fact that Trump and the US military just assassinated like the entire upper brass of Iran and like destroyed their entire navy in like 2 days? Third time you couldn't find something? Yeah, I think it disappears. It's just like you're ignoring the most important part, in which, you know, America fucking just decimated its enemies, whereas Russia tried to do the same thing in Ukraine, and like all its special forces were like killed on the airfield, and then now they're like stuck in a quagmire for like the next 4 years. I mean, America might also be stuck in a quagmire, but like the whole ignoring the insane American military power in which they basically just like wiped off an entire country's government in like the first strike of a war. Like the fact that New York Times has to sort of write around it like it's not like an insane big deal, I feel shows how far their ideological position has corrupted their view of what's actually going on at the same time. Ukraine and Iran are fundamentally different countries. Yeah. For everyone who's like, oh, I fucking hate Trump, he's getting us into another endless war in the Middle East. It's always hard when you're like, okay, but what about that Al Khamenei guy? What about that Iranian guy? How was he doing? It's like, yeah, he had just murdered like 30,000 of his own citizens who were protesting, but you know, it's always like there's literally nobody who wants to defend the Iranian government. So it always like it's just a really hard argument to make because it has to be entirely be based on the needs of the U.S. citizens. Because you can't be like, no, no, they're just fine. Ukrainians may not have all liked Zelensky, but at the beginning of the war, they were volunteering and getting armed to defend their democracy. I mean, technically, the Iran's Revolutionary Guard are Iranians who are defending their democracy, although they can't do shit because there are no boots on the ground, and it's just the United States bombing them with $1 billion smart bombs from high altitude. And none of their drones and missiles can get past these extremely expensive U.S. anti-missile defenses, apparently. So yeah, very similar situations. Hassan was fake crying for Khomeini. Was he like fake crying under the assumption that people wouldn't notice that he was fake crying, or was he like fake crying as like to be ironic? Because those are two different things. Was he like boo-hoo, LMAO, or is he like, I'm actually crying, but we could all tell you're fake crying? Either nothing happens or Jared Kushner turns Iran into a resort. I don't know, man. I don't think they have time to turn Iran into a resort. They still have to turn Gaza into a resort, remember? The Revolutionary Guards are not citizens. I mean, that's one way of... I mean, wouldn't they still be citizens? I mean, how are you defining that? They're part of the government, I guess. Hassan is insane. How do you guys always know what he's doing? Like, I haven't followed anything about Hassan. I didn't even know what he looked like until he electrocuted his dog. He just streams 8 hours each day. There's 20,000 slop channels reporting on his every move. I don't know how I successfully avoid information about our favorite internet celebrities, but I do. I just don't watch. There's a YouTube drama channel that covers him. Hold on, I have to take a piss. Ah! 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 Unk shuffled away. Quick talk about Zelda. You can talk about Zelda whenever you want to, you Nintendo cucks. The Revolutionary Guard is tiny compared to the citizen movement in Ukraine. LOL. I mean, it might be tiny, sure, but I mean, people are ignoring the part where Trump is perfectly fine with the Revolutionary Guard still being in power as long as they bend the knee to America and stuff like that. Trump doesn't give a fuck if the citizens of Iran are still suffering. If the Revolutionary Guard tomorrow said, okay, we'll give oil to America and we might still be oppressive to citizens, but we'll stop threatening Israel. If they said that tomorrow, Trump would be like, mission accomplished, we did it, you know? Like he did with Venezuela, right? That's the big difference between the war in Iraq that George W. started and Trump, in that Trump doesn't care about creating some sort of free democratic Iran. He just wants to be able to expand the American empire, and he's very honest about that. It's kind of Trump's superpower is that he's incapable of like lying to himself and his desires. He's just like, yeah, I want oil and I want to be king forever. Whereas the Bush administration was like, yeah, we have to have boots on the ground and expose American troops to IEDs so Iraqi citizens can be protected and so on and so on. And that's what got America in the war forever, but he wants a puppet. Trump wants a puppet in literally everything, whether it's Iran or at home or whatever, so... He straight said he wants a dictator there. To be fair, a dictator that is friendly to the United States is what the United States has in basically all the other Arab countries, right? And it's way easier to control a dictator that wants to maintain good terms with the United States, because if they don't, the United States is going to bomb the shit out of them, than it is to maintain relationships with a democratic country that can change their leaders on a frequent basis. If you have to deal with a different leader every 6 years there's an election or whatever, suddenly it's much more difficult. You're better not knowing about the terrorist lovers, bro. I stopped looking at clips of him altogether. Besides the dog shocking shit, he has Twitch CEOs as a friend. I mean, hey, if he's a Shiite Muslim and he believes that Supreme Leader Al Khamenei was, the Blessed Father, that's his right to feel that way, I say. I don't see anything wrong with that. He just likes his dictator daddy. He's a fake Muslim, yes. A large percentage of religious people are the fake version of that. I.e., I'm a Catholic, but I've only been to church once in the last 3 years, people. The dude only reads tweets. I have gotten a liberal arts education, so I have been trained to read between the lines of various news sources, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy reading a wide variety of news sources and seeing how their biases affect the information they transmit to us and what they say and don't say. Also, I don't have to pay for my New York Times subscription because my mother is still subscribed. Have you paid tribute to your local kami? We don't have any local shrines. Ashia is a very Western-oriented city, so there isn't any shrines near my current apartment. But I plan on moving, and I'm assuming that wherever I go, we'll probably have a bunch of shrines, because I'm thinking of going to a place that probably has lower population density, which means there'll probably be more like mountain shrines and stuff. Time to find IRL kitsune. There were actual IRL kitsune in my American home, i.e. foxes. I don't think they were gods, though. I saw them crossing the road the other day. Not the other day, but like several months ago before I went to Japan. Will you ever go to the temple with the Kannon statues with the massive boobs? I don't know about this. Yet another reason to live in Japan, smug kitsune kami to torment you. If you don't properly give them their rice balls with deep fried tofu on the outside, their inari sushi, they will punish you. Why am I redrawing this random soy jack? I should just repost it. This guy is not worth me drawing him twice. No, Kitsune-sama, don't bite my dick, no. Flip horizontally and you okay? I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna blow him up and change his eyes a little bit. Neckbeard Vin Diesel. Not everybody who is bald is Vin Diesel, guys. Come on. Although I guess the all the folds of skin around his neck is similar to Vin Diesel's head, so... The schnozer and eyes kind of too. Look, I'm just drawing a soy jack, okay? I can't help that Vin Diesel has the same nose as a soy jack. That's on him. Vin Diesel has got to be one of the lesser attractive men to become like a huge grade A movie star. When you combine that with his basically inability to be an actor, it's pretty, Hollywood really is a land of dreams where just random ass unattractive man who can't act can become like a multi-million-dollar movie star. Pretty crazy. Of course, if we're going by the least attractive men to become important, famous movie stars, S tier is almost always going to be Woody Allen, right? Woody Allen just being like, oh, I'm so unattractive. He says that himself, and then he gets female character that he has written the script for be like, that's not true. I think you have, I think you're very attractive. This is like half of Woody Allen's movies. Didn't Woody Allen crack his stepdaughter or something? Some of his, yes, he literally married his stepdaughter, and then he got canceled because Woody Allen was getting canceled way before cancel culture became a thing and Me Too became a thing, because he had this whole ongoing thing between his stepkids, and one of the stepkids said he was sexually abused by Woody Allen, and the other said he didn't. And I don't remember the specifics. This is when it hurts that we don't have Hystrixia in the chat right now, because I'm sure she remembers all the details regarding this. Woody Allen wrote and directed most of the movies he's in, though. LOL. Yeah, that's why I'm saying Vin Diesel is so impressive. Same thing for Stallone. Stallone has that weird, like, lopsided face that normally would prevent producers from, like, casting him. So he wrote and directed his own movie and with Rocky, and everyone's like, this is a masterpiece, and then he was off. But Vin Diesel, wasn't he just like a bouncer or something? And it's not like he has like huge acting range or anything. He's literally just like gruff, tough looking guy who can't act, and then he becomes like the face of some of the most profitable multimedia franchises of the last 20 years. SA allegation story changed like 5 times, so I don't think he did it. Honestly, I don't really care. He's just like, I don't like his movies in the first place, so... If your story changes even once, it's infinitely less credible. True. The counter argument would be like, I was a child and I was traumatized, so... But in general, people who are constantly changing their story are lying. Japan has guys like that too. Japan had the Western idols are called Johnnies, because the producer was called Johnny Kitagawa. Oh, you mean ugly bastard, not sexual assault person. I was thinking the opposite, like the creepy sex predator. Yes, they have ugly bastard, but Beat Takeshi was also someone who wrote a lot of his own movies. But the movies he stars in are movies about gruff Yakuza characters. I guess you could say that's what Fast and Furious is, or at least what it originally was. We need media actors that convey a sense of like the possibility that they would be engaged in violence in a convincing way. And both Beat Takeshi and Vin Diesel give you a strong sense that they wouldn't hesitate to smash your head in with like a beer bottle or something, just based on their demeanor, which is something that you can't really convey if you're a pretty boy in the same way, even if you actually have a much higher propensity for violence. Stallone is super impressive to me. Made his own movies with zero money and became one of the biggest stars. There ain't many like that. It's mainly nepotism. Stallone is one of the few powerful ones to go out there and just get it done. Never give up on your dreams. Actually, that's pretty bad advice. You probably should give up on your dreams at some point. Stallone was just talented, man. If Hollywood was more of a meritocracy instead of nepotism central, he probably would have gotten his break much faster. You could say that the fact that Stallone had to work so hard to get his initial break with Rocky just shows that the Hollywood system is kind of inefficient. It was funny. I was watching a Philip Marlowe movie. I think it was maybe The Long Goodbye, made in like the early 70s. And Stallone just shows up in it when he was still in his like getting parts as extras period. And I was like, oh shit, it's Stallone. What the fuck? He's just like a random extra who has like 2 lines in like this detective movie in the 70s. You're like, hey, there's Stallone before he got his break. Arnold, will you say you are talented? I'm not talented enough to write and star in my own movie. But that's kind of what manga is, isn't it? If I increase my drawing speed to the point that I can shit out 30 pages a month, then we'll see how talented I am. See, the thing about manga, the manga publishing industry, is that it is very much a meritocracy because the cost of production are very low. So they have all these manga magazines that are really willing to give a lot of risky bets, give them their shot. They're constantly looking for new talent, and it doesn't cost them much to give you a series. It's not like a movie where you need to have a whole production and a huge budget. You just pay the person to draw basically a living wage. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about manga, is that you get paid by the page, but you barely get paid. If you have assistants, you're basically going to be in the red, and then you make your money back when the books come out. And if the books sell well, you become very rich, and if they don't sell well, then you can often lose money having a series. So there's a much lower risk for publishing companies, and there's a much higher payoff because the costs are so low. So that makes Japanese publishers much more likely to take a lot of gambles on various untested talent, young talent and shit. So if you are talented in the manga industry, you can get discovered way easier than in the Hollywood, for example. What does MTX stand for? Microtransaction. I.e. both Overwatch and Marvel Slop. They're not gacha, but they are microtransactions, right? At least I think that's correct. I often see MTX games. Yeah, AI overview. MTX microtransactions refer to small in-game real money purchases where virtual goods like skins, currency, or XP boosts commonly used in free-to-play freemium games, like Overwatch and Marvel Slop. They added gacha to Rivals. Do you have to roll to get characters, or is it like just skins? Because I consider it to not be gacha if it's just skins. I consider that to be a vanity items. You can buy skins and characters are usually unlocked without gacha. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. There's event gacha. Yeah, I mean, they're basically the same thing, ultimately. But if you can buy what you want, it's not really gacha. New Year's Psylocke is a random roll. I consider like shit like if it's still in the skit, if the RNG is for skins, I still consider it to be microtransactions instead of gacha. But they're in the same category. Also, if you can buy the skin independent of rolling for it, that's definitely not gacha then. I haven't bought Slay the Spire yet. Has anybody been playing Slay the Spire 2? Do we have any Spire Slayers in chat? Or am I the only guy who plays that? Everybody's talking about playing Eugenics. I figured there'd be some people who also are playing Spire as well, but maybe not. I've watched some runs, it's more of the same. Well, people wanted more of the same. Too busy learning Blender. Spire is like a full-time job, unfortunately. That's why I haven't bought it. I'm trying to learn how to draw right now, so... I wish I could draw, guys. Only 20 more years and I'll be able to be good. So close. Any day now. I'm preparing to play Niche Abandoned Paradox game Imperator Rome on Eyes of March. Why would you celebrate the death of our glorious ruler Julius Caesar? You should be mourning his passing. Side note, fuck the rivals and Overwatch community in-game. That's what happens when you try and play a team-based 5-on-5 or 6-on-6 whatever game with randos. You know it's gonna happen, people. You should have expected this. Like, come on. We have enough, data on this to know what's gonna happen, guys. You meet the worst scum in game. At least with like rivals and Overwatch and stuff, there isn't like some money system in which the opponent's team gets better and better the more you feed. At least as far as I know, right? They don't have an economy. If you're playing like Dotes or whatever, you're literally, if one of your teammates sucks, and even if they don't want to suck, your teammates are just making the opponents better and better as they keep on dying. And that's, I mean, talk about a entire system, a game system that was designed to foster bad feelings among teammates and just lead to insane amounts of toxicity. Imagine playing MOBAs as like for fun. You join a team of randos, half of who are Brazilians, the other half are draft dodging Russians. You have a bad game. Everybody is telling you to kill yourself. The opponent's team is making fun of you. Gaben is on a yacht. What a life. Solo queue sucks in any game. This is why you should just play like an actual skill-based game that's one-on-one, like Street Fighter or something, instead of something where you have to rely on Valve matchmaking to not give you retards. Also, everybody thinks that they're the person who knows what they're doing and that everybody else is a retard, and I guarantee that is not the case. Myself included, when I was playing MOBAs, I was like, God damn, I'm the only person who knows what we're doing, and everybody fucking sucks. Go to the park and play some ball, pussy. Unfortunately, you can't solo queue in the park as well. In the park, you have to team up with like all the other people who are playing pickup. And if it's super casual, it'll be fine, but there are very competitive pickup games where people are like, where the person who, there's more people who want to play and you have to stay on the court by winning, you know? In which case, your teammates will get angry if you fuck up. If there's enough courts to accommodate everybody, then it doesn't matter as much, though. Gaben is busy signing Steam cubes to hand deliver to his loyal buyers. When is the Steam cube going on sale? Steam cube. Have they even announced the price yet? Doesn't look like it. Are people still getting excited for the price of the Steam Cube even when they haven't said the price? Not the price, but they're all like assuming, oh, it's going to be the same price as a PS5. It was leaked. RAM prices interfering. If it was leaked, it can change. Who knows? It might be. It might get better. It might get worse. I mean, if you're gonna buy a Steam machine, I feel like you should just buy like a fucking used Xbox Series X. It's also a black cube, except it's a rectangle. And you can probably get them cheap now that Game Pass is like being taken apart and all the poor Microsoft refugees have nowhere to go. A Steam machine is upgradable and is also a PC. Yeah, so we don't know the price yet. It's probably not going to be cheap. God, I wish kunoichis were real. I feel like the average beach attire for kunoichi would be like black fundoshi or something. And then they'd have to have the tied shirt in front, and then black ponytail. Yes. Actually, this isn't enough. There has to be instead of the tied shirt in front, she has to be wearing black bikini But then you have to give her this one, the mesh. That's just standard Kunoichi equipment right there. And then give her the kunai equipment. And those should be like, Master, we must go to the beach to play the beach volleyball. At current hardware prices, the Steam Machine is not viable. Well, they haven't announced the price yet. They can just increase the price to the point where only the Gaben faithful will buy it. And there's a lot of Gaben faithful, so... Hikari. Alright, it's time to sexualize characters that are clearly underage. Blue archive time, boys. Stupid fucking brats. Gotta draw the brats. The Shupogaki, as we call them. Do you ever do Scrandle on stream again? What the fuck is Scrandle? I don't even know what you're talking about. What is this that? What the Shupo? It is onomatopoeia for the sound that locomotives make when they are traveling. Spush, push, push, push. It is the sound of the steam coming out of the smokestack of the train. Scrandle is the food game? What the fuck are you talking about? Scrandle? I know Scran is British for food. Daily. Bradford City 2022. Bolton Wanderers. Pepperoni pizza twist, 3 pounds for chicken tikka dirty fries. I'll take the chicken tikka dirty fries probably in this case. I'm kind of over. I guess it depends on the type of the way the bread is built in this one. Bonus round. What happens if I click? Thanks for voting. 5 pounds is super expensive though. Sheffield United 2023, $5.50. What's the So 5.5 pounds sterling. $7.30 for this. God, that shit is expensive. Holy fuck. I mean, American fast food has become incredibly expensive and unaffordable. But this doesn't even have, like, any toppings on it. Like, what the fuck? You're paying $7 for, like, just like a raw-ass hot dog? All this is stadium food? Oh, it says Weymouth FC. Oh, and there's Sheffield United. Okay, that makes sense. I guess that's normal then. If you're in a stadium and you buy a hot dog in a stadium, you're basically fucked, so... It doesn't really matter. Like, of course it's gonna be expensive. Why is the cheese unmelted? Yeah, for that reason alone. I don't know, at least this gives you, like, a pretty large bun. Everyone wants this one just because it has a little cheese in it. I don't care what other people decided. I'm gonna choose the one I want to eat. Hot dogs with a liter of beer. Burger and chips. This looks better. Yeah. Chicken and halloumi souvlaki. Double cheeseburger. Dulwich Hamlet. I don't know. I think the double cheeseburger looks better. Yeah. Chicken burger. That chicken is sticking out. I don't want it. It still looks better than the hot dog. The price doesn't really reflect this shit, though. Zapiekanka, Wisła Krakow, Poland. What is wrong with Polish people? Do we have any Poles in chat? Can someone explain what's wrong with Poland? Like, what is this object? This looks like the kind of, like, mystery meat shit that Western foreigners get when they go to, like, fishing villages in Japan. And, like, the local fisherman has to explain to the Westerner that this is, like, a decapitated sea cucumber that has been, like, boiled and sun-dried for the last 5 years or some shit. And the Westerner's like, oh, well, I'm gonna eat a local delicatessen. I'm not Polish. This means something baked. I'm guessing that people just chose this. Yeah. 25%. People don't even know what that shit is. Hampton Park Scotch Pie. 2-inch sausage roll. That's what she said. She's like, your 2-inch sausage roll. I can really feel it inside me. I can't believe this is fucking 6 pounds. This one Scotch pie with a glass of water is fucking $8. It's $8, guys. It's fucking insane. It's tiny. It's like barely in this person's hand. I know I'm like exposing my American. I guess I'll choose the sausage roll. A lot of this is just a photo, honestly. Garlic octopus roll. Italy. Finally, some real fucking food. I'm going with octopus roll 100%, yeah. There's only 2 countries on this planet who know what they're doing with food. It's Japan and Italy. Fish and chips. This looks like some sort of abomination in Slay the Spire that you have to fight. But the burger with gherkins is also very sad looking. The single pickle, especially, looks, it's very sad. One pickle, like you're gonna get one, for one bite of that burger you'll get the pickle, but for the other bites of the burger there's no flavor. This has like fucking 3 pickles. Yeah, fish and chips is better. This just looks like a cock right here. Chelsea? Of course it's Chelsea. I think the sausage roll is better. Yeah. That's a sad-ass hot dog right there. Oh, they're showing the same one. Devon steak pasty. I'll take the pasty, thank you. 9 out of 10. Super Scrandle. Alternate game mode. Alright, let's fucking go. Cardiff City. Arsenal. Chili cheese fries. Oh, you have to guess the percentage. I think this is a 60. 75%. Rusty Can, thanks for the sub. I appreciate the support. 37 months on a 5-month streak. Very impressive. Melbourne Victory. Grilled salmon. The French fries are just like too white though. Bacon cheeseburger. 40%? 10%. Wow, low. Everybody wants the salmon. Interesting. I don't think people actually look at the price. I think they just look at, like, imagining eating it. Sausage roll with a pie. Spicy glazed fried chicken. 60? I don't know. 80. A lot of this is just how the photo looks, guys, let's be honest. Double bacon cheeseburger versus pizza slice. All. 83%. Everybody would prefer the double bacon cheeseburger, yeah. What is this? Is this like a horror movie? Alright, that's enough. That's enough scrandal. I just said that Italy and Japan are like the 1-2 countries that, know what they're doing with food. So if you combine the two, that's where you get the most powerful of all. Caesarea. You guys know Caesarea? This is a Japanese-Italian family restaurant chain, famidesu chain. But look at the fucking menu prices here. You want a spicy grilled chicken? 4 pieces, 300 yen basically with tax. Fucking grilled mussels with vegetable salsa, 360 yen. The appetizers are super cheap, of course, but it's when you get to the pasta dishes where it's like truly like, holy shit. Just give me the fucking carbs. Look at this. You can get a fucking whole pizza for yourself for $3. Get a massive fucking sausage pizza for $3. Pollock roe popcorn shrimp Doria, $3.60. Meat sauce. Chocolate cake. Spaghetti al nero del sepia. Food versus food Japan. Even among the Japanese, the Japanese are like, damn, the prices are so cheap here. Remember, there's also no tipping. You can get your hamburger steak. Enjoy the taste of fresh, lean meat. 364 yen. You probably want the combo platter, though. I should go to Caesarea, but there isn't any in my area. Food versus food Japan is real, guys. It's probably the most real of all the thing versus thing Japan things out there. That's like $2, LOL. Yeah. And no tipping. Is there a waifu versus waifu? That's a good question. If there isn't, someone should make it. Rule 34 Wordle would be funny. I started doing Wordle recently, by the way. I kept on failing because, for some reason in my mind, you know how in Wordle, when you get the letter in the right location, it's green, and if it's the letter is in the word but it's in the wrong location, it's yellow/gold. For some reason in my mind, like the gold is a better outcome than green. So I kept on thinking that like I had gotten the letter in the right location when it was gold when it was actually incorrect. So I kept on trying to be like, man, I don't know about this word. I don't think this word exists. It's like, no, wait, you got the colors wrong, dumbass. I've done this like twice already. I would have like a 20-win streak or whatever on Wordle if I didn't keep on making the same fucking mistake. There's a waifu verse quiz. I don't think we need to do this, guys. Waifu verse quiz. Waifu versus waifu quizzes quotev. Who is your anime waifu? Are you waifu material? I don't think we need to do this, guys. Asuna versus 02. I don't want either of them. Not as a waifu, but just like not around me in general. I'm trying to draw a loli, but I'm so used to drawing like full-size adults. The head portions are off. The head needs to be larger. That's really how you differentiate from children and adults, is adults are going to be like 6 to 8 heads tall, and kids are going to be like 4 or 5 heads tall. I guess not 4 heads tall, but like 5 heads tall, maybe. IRL Asuna would be a catfish guy, so 0 wins that. I don't understand how people can get excited for Sword Art Online. It's like the most basic bitch shit, both in terms of like anime fandom and like the concept of how they think about like online gaming. And I don't like the whole concept of like, oh, you're in a game in the first place. But like, Sword Art Online is like the worst version of that. Dot hack ripoff. I hate shit where it's like, it feels like the author is writing about something that they didn't spend a lot of time on. Like, this is especially bad for a lot of MMORPG themed isekai, Nato amateur authors, where it's pretty obvious that they haven't played any MMOs. But I feel like Sword Art Online is basically in the same category where, like, the author might have played a little bit of MMOs, but it doesn't feel like he truly likes MMOs that much. It's a lot of people's first anime. I know, that's why I call it basic bitch shit. I liked it better in the 90s when people's first anime was fucking Cowboy Bebop. How about that? If your first anime was Cowboy Bebop and you expected anime to be like this, just like Cowboy Bebop going forward, you're going to be horribly disappointed because it doesn't get much better than that. Imagine entering your anime fandom with Cowboy Bebop in the 90s or 2000s and you're like, ah, yes, I can't wait for the next anime that's just as good as Cowboy Bebop. And you're like, huh, it's been a while. I wonder why there hasn't been any anime that's as good as Cowboy Bebop recently. Strange. Just a few more years, guys, and we'll get more Cowboy Bebop. Inuyasha is definitely a geezer pick. Well, Inuyasha was pretty shitty, so you're like, we're going in the same location again. I know this is horrifying, but I'm pre-Inuyasha. Even in terms of like anime that I was consuming from like the Western anime business. Because there was copies of Ranma at the local borders. So Inuyasha wasn't even the first. I'm blanking on her name. Rumiko Takahashi. The thing that we got at the time. Huh. They have big hats, but they also have like huge ass heads. And the hat is not sitting deep on the head. It's actually just kind of lightly sitting on top. Yes, we know your uncle. I'm not old, guys. You're just young. All of my tastes are extremely up-to-date, and they're not outdated at all. Ironically, this is actually true because culture has gone downward a lot since the 90s, especially shit like anime. I mean, the current Zoomers are still being like, oh my god, he did the Akira slide and stuff like that, so... Nah, fuck that. What, are you saying that anime has gotten better? It has gotten better in a lot of... The lower ring of anime has gotten better. The upper, higher budget anime is not as good because Japan had, like, way more money than they needed to. A huge problem with current anime is that now that, it's being produced for Western audiences to be sent to foreign streaming services like fucking Crunchyroll. Like, that's part of the pipeline. It affects the content. And anime is being mass produced right now. I'm airing everything out of the clip into the hostage with the highest net worth if I see that Akira bike slide again. But it's an Akira reference, guys. Don't we all love Akira? Look, I referenced the popular anime movie. So there is just like a really financially flexible period for the anime industry in which they were still producing shit for niche otaku consumers, but they had large budgets to satisfy this, which is when we got all our best shit. This was like the OVA and movie era where they're like, we're going to create the same mecha and like cyberpunk dystopian stuff that we wanted to create in the first place, but because of Japan's we have like a lot of money right now thanks to the bubble. It was like right after the bubble popped, but financing hadn't dried up yet, so this is like late 90s and stuff. And then Otaku had enough money to buy the Blu-rays. This is when you got the best anime stuff. And right now we're kind of in a weird glut period in which there's more animes than ever getting produced. And the animation techniques are insanely high now that we have like various computer techniques and shit. But the overall quality isn't exactly great. Like, there's so many anime being produced. All of these new studios are being formed, and they're gobbling up script of horrible isekai generic shit. And then the isekai generic shit is being watched by people who are using it as second screen content. Would they have Crunchyroll or Netflix on in the background? Oh, you want Ghost in the Shell? I don't necessarily want Ghost in the Shell. I'm just saying that we're not at peak anime at the moment, and that a lot of that is because Westerners have entered the medium and are paying for a lot of the shit. And what made anime good was the Japanese sensibilities in the first place. So once Japanese anime companies start producing shit for Netflix, and Netflix is like, we just want to have some sort of slop that people can have on in the background, and then the anime companies are like, sure, anime is great for that. We don't have the budget to be animating any frame in the first place. Like, yeah, that's gonna hurt quality. Can't avoid it. There seems to be battle between two camps in anime executive world, catering to global audiences or staying focused on domestic markets. Well, if you have like a real killer IP that you get to animate, like the Jujutsu Kaisen folks, then you can go all in on it because you know you're going to make a shit ton of money in both global markets and domestically. But the problem is that there's only so much, scripts to animate in the first place. If anything, stuff like One Punch Man is more of a exception, because it's more like the anime production studios are fighting over the good IPs like One Punch Man, and when you get that, you can put in a lot of money. But most of them are forced to make like average isekai slop for the 30th time. And then it might or might not be profitable, but you're guaranteed to get some amount of money because Netflix has so much money to throw around. Western viewers watch with subs though. Wait, no, it's dubbed nowadays. I bet there's like some sub viewers who are just watching it in the background and not even like following the dialogue very closely. I bet a bunch of people who are watching on Netflix, like the true casuals, I'm sure are watching the dubs. I've used to discover a lot of anime via YouTube clips. I've noticed a very clear shift towards using exclusive dubs for such clips. Yeah, because it used to be everything was being done by scantillators, right? I guess it's not scantillators, fan subs. But now a lot of people are watching their anime on Netflix. So now they have the option for slightly higher quality dubs instead of pirated fan subs. So eventually, I mean, asking normies to read shit is always a battle of trying to ice skate uphill. The average normie in 2026 has the reading ability of like a 3-year-old. BB used to be translator. Yeah, well, not for, I wasn't getting paid when I was doing my hobby projects. When I was translating stuff and getting paid, I was translating shit like industrial stuff, car OEM manufacturing stuff. I was translating documents of like, if the roof lining of this 2018 Toyota Hi-Ace isn't properly attached to this segment of the frame, then in these situations we get water leakage, stuff like that. Instead of using subs for such clips, they now use dubs, which I think is a consequence of what you're saying about Netflix. Yeah. Anime is mainstream, and mainstreamers don't want to read subs. That's just the truth. It's too much work. Is it difficult to get into translation for animes? I don't know, man. The translation industry is something that is probably going to be one of the industries most affected by the advance of AI. Unlike a lot of other things like programming, where the corporation is just like, we can fire everyone and they cannot fire everyone. Translation is one where they can't fire everyone, but they could probably still fire like, I don't know, 30%, 40% of their workforce. Or at least they're going to try. I haven't been trying to get translation jobs in the period in which AI started getting good, so it's still insane to me that people in the US can hardly read. Americans just don't like reading, man. One of the weird things that you do if you go to Japan, you'll find that there's like bookstores everywhere. This will be a completely foreign concept to Americans, but at basically every Japanese train station, there's a bookstore. People still buy books. I know a lot of the bookstores are closing even in Japan because people are buying shit digitally and reading shit digitally, but Japanese people still like reading very much and they like books. God, these fucking brats. They're excellent character designs. I'm torn between the choice of clearly hallucinated context and having words like goof-maxing, chud, and incel in my subs. I think it's okay to have words like chud and incel in your subs, depending on the context. If I'm trying to watch Legend of Galactic Heroes, and Kirshi Eyes is calling somebody a chud, then I'm not going to watch that. Of course, I can just, watch it without the subs turned on, so it doesn't affect me, I guess. The Koreans perfected the Mesugaki. Some of the most prominent Mesugaki characters, I believe, are Korean video games, but the character designer is a Japanese person, I think. I think the person who truly went all in on the Mesugaki archetype is, I forgot what the character's name was. Or which game it was in. Was it Azure Lane? Yeah, it's Botch. That's who I'm thinking of. We will never have a Mesugaki that's more Mesugaki than this Mesugaki. This one. This was like peak Mesugaki. The designer for this Mesugaki took the Mesugaki amplifier and turned it up past 10. They turned it up to like 15. I think it was partially banned in China because the Mesugaki power was too high. They were like, this is completely unacceptable. I've never seen a brat that requires more correction than this kid. But, who is the, character designer? Water Kuma. I'm not sure whether Water Kuma is Japanese or Korean. But this is someone who specializes in making characters like this at this point. I think he's just medically incapable of drawing characters that aren't Mesugaki. Look how fucking smug this stupid bitch is. She's literally pointing at the viewer to laugh at them. I need to correct her by making her work in a call center for 10 hours a day. Zenless looking character. Water Kuma designed a bunch of the Zenless Mesugaki as well. Classic Ball Buddy verse trope. I worked in a call center for like 2 weeks, I think. It was pretty fucking awful. It was painfully bad. Alright, guys. I am hungry, so I'm going to end the stream here. See you around, boys. Have a nice night. Good night, guys. I am currently doing a auction for my commission slot, so if you are interested in that, you can participate in the Discord. Check that out. Good night, guys. Bye.